Welcome back to day 2 of APNA's virtual conference. I am thrilled to embark on another day of learning and growth alongside each and every one of you. Today's agenda is packed with insightful sessions that delve into various aspects of our industry. We are starting strong with a session on AI-driven recruitment led by Ruka of Tiny Treasures. Later, we'll engage in dynamic panel discussions, explore the power of video marketing, and conclude the day with the conference town hall featuring many of our esteemed speakers. So get ready, grab your coffee, get your pen and paper handy as we dive into day 2 of APNA's virtual conference.
Hi, thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you, Abner, for having me. My name is Ruka Kure, and today I'm going to be talking about tech-tailored AI-driven nanny recruitment. So, about me, I am the owner of Tiny Treasures Nanny Agency, a board director of the International Nanny Association, INA, owner of Gut Teas, which is just teas for the gut microbiome. I am a lover of neuroscience, anime, Korean drama, and Chloe, who's in the corner. A lot of you guys may know who she is, and my hubby. So, what is AI? AI, also known as artificial intelligence, is simulation of human intelligent processes by machines, especially computer systems. AI is not new. We've been using it for years. Many of us have been using AI in a way that we didn't really think we were using AI. If you have ever used Grammarly, which is a spell checking and paraphrasing program, they use AI. It's a very good program for checking for plagiarism. If you know already, ChatGPT is a very popular one that came out in the fall of 2002 and has pretty much taken the AI world by storm, and which is why a lot of us are driving towards using it more for recruitment and other processes. Another one is Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant. If you used any of those before, then you've already been introduced to AI. One of my favorites is Mid-Journey in lieu of Chat GPT or open sources DALI, because it creates really, really beautiful images. Now, what is ChatGPT? Because that's really going to be our focus, right? ChatGPT is an AI language model developed by OpenAI. It uses it's such a huge program, and it's really taken the world by storm because it mimics human conversation and behavior, right? You're able to sit there and put a text in the program and it answers you. It provides recommendations. It even simulates conversation, which is why so many people love using it. You can go on ChatGPT now and say, "How was your day?" and have a conversation about theology or Socrates or what your favorite anime character is. Of course, this depends on which version you use, whether you use the 3.5 or you use the 4.0. ChatGPT, in the context of AI-driven recruitment, can assist in creating and analyzing job descriptions, creating candidate communication templates, screening resumes, and based on screening resumes and offering insights on recruitment strategies. Its ability to process and generate language efficiently makes it a very valuable tool, which is why I want us to really use it more in our space, right? Because it can enhance the recruitment processes, especially in areas that are nuanced, like communication and decision making. So, the significance of AI, right? If we look at efficiency and speed, quality placement, data-driven decision, cost efficiency, and enhancing family and candidate experience, we find that it is a very powerful tool that can transform the way we traditionally did recruiting to something that is just amazing and dynamic. With efficiency and speed, AI powered candidate matching can significantly increase the time that we spend on profiles and resumes, right? This allows agencies to respond really quickly to family childcare needs, ensuring quicker placements and overall efficiency in the recruitment process. If we look at the precision and the quality of the placements, these can increase with the AI algorithms because they can analyze a multitude of data points, right? Enabling precise matching of the candidates skills, experience, personalities, and what the family is requiring you to like match them with. This results in like really high quality placements, right? That way your clients are happy, your candidates are happy, and it's a great match. And we don't want to forget data driven decision making. Enough agencies do not use data. And I know when you think of data, a lot of people think of like analyzing too many things and it being overly complicated. But as humans, you can save your brain space, right? And leave all this data analyzing to the AIs that you implement into your system, right? So it can empower agencies to make more informed decisions, right? By leveraging data insights, right? Your agency can continually refine, the recruitment strategies, identifying patterns and what leads to like successful placements. A big trend right now, for example, is that a lot of families are looking for newborn care specialists. More families are looking for affordable childcare. However, more nannies want to make more money. You can target recruiting and solving these big trends if you look at the data, right? I know a lot of us agency owners, we're always looking at the bottom line, right? You need to know how much you're spending and if this makes sense to you. You can streamline and automate, AI driven recruitment. We can let AI do a lot of things that will reduce manual workload and the associated cost of that. It doesn't mean we no longer want humans to do this because our industry will always need a human touch no matter what, but agencies can now allocate resources more efficiently, right, effectively, focusing on strategies and talent acquisition and spending money on places like marketing, which I think is probably one of the most important places that your money should go to. And the last would be, enhancing, the experience of the candidates. With AI technology, you can contribute to a more personalized and positive candidate experience, right? You have it where there are lots of case studies from different parts of this industry, right? And I know ours is very niche because we work with domestic and household staff, but you find that a lot of candidates who are looking for a job don't feel engaged in the job hunt. They feel like there's not enough communication. They feel like it's not tailored to them. It doesn't feel personalized. They feel like they're just a number. And what we can do is use AI to help them feel more confident in the job search, right? Automating communication, tailoring recommendations, and efficiently having it that the candidates get to you and finish the application process as soon as possible, which is important because it also helps with the overall interaction between the recruiters, your agency, and the candidates. Now, hiring bias. Ethical considerations and fairness is really important. And one of the things that I feel like AI algorithms can really help you with, especially if it's designed properly to address and mitigate biases, especially in the recruitment process. You want to be able to ensure a fair and transparent selection of candidates, right? And the only way you can do this is making sure that your system and your processes align with, ethical considerations and promote diversity and inclusion in the hiring process. We have learned that using AI during recruitment can actually boost diversity by over 200%. Now you have the process that is looking for not only the right skills for the families you work for, but our jobs as recruiters is to ensure that we're putting the right people in the right chair, despite their sex, their race, their marital status, and other protective classes. So we know some of the traditional recruitment challenges, right? Manual screening is time consuming. And we find that a lot of agencies and a lot of places still use this. It delays the overall recruitment timeline and can result in missing out on a qualified candidate for family because you are taking so much time in finding the right candidate. And that's okay because vetting takes long, but having the candidate apply to the position before they're even vetted should not be something that's wasting so much time that you lose the opportunity of placing this candidate with a great client. Now, subjective decision making. Like I mentioned about human biases, implicit bias exists. Human bias is subjective, and it's no place for the recruitment process, but it exists and there's nothing you can do. So, what you want to do is just make sure that you are focused on having a AI qualified system that gives you a chance to not exclude really great candidates and not overlook red flags in the recruitment process. An example is candidates' names. 50% of candidates, especially African Americans, are overlooked based on their names, even if they have more experience than their other counterparts or other applicants. And you can also overlook a not so great candidate because they live in the same hometown as you or they went to the same school as you. So you're ignoring red flags because all you see is similarities that may be comfortable for you while you are interviewing them. And it's just not a good place to start. And you miss out on, again, putting the right people in the right chairs. Ineffective communication. Again, an issue that we are seeing is that most interviews that have moved online, there are now huge communication gaps between the recruiters, the candidates, and sometimes the families, which can lead to really big misunderstanding, delays, and missed placements. And if you have poor communication, it can completely hinder the establishment of your recruitment process. And who wants to really lose a placement because there was a missed email or missed phone call? It's just not worth it. Now, AI driven innovations and some of the things that we can look at using AI, candidate matching algorithms. We can have it where you can make a quick and a good match with precision matching, which I have always been into making sure that you're looking as a human, looking at a resume, that I am looking for the skills, the personality traits, and the requirements that the family is looking for. You can easily speed up all of this by using AI. Machine learning, while a lot of us have applicant tracking systems that have, like we use Engine Hire, Nanny Prologic, I think Peer, there's a lot of other applicant tracking system in our industry. A lot of them may not have machine learning now, but I can see it as something that's going to happen because machine learning can help your system adapt to matching better and faster placements later on, especially as AI evolves and as it becomes more common. Resume parsing. I wanted to show you guys Booleans, but I felt like I'm not going to stress you guys out on this first intro and conversations. But one of the things that I know is that a lot of us use job boards and sites to recruit candidates, right? And you can easily use AI to parse through resumes fairly quickly. Again, we want to move through we want to create a process where we are screening candidates who apply for jobs really, really quickly before the interview process, right? If you automate this, it makes things easier and you can get a short list of candidates pretty quickly. I believe in automated pre-screening. I know a lot of people don't use this as often as they should. It's been available for years, but I feel like with ChatGPT now, a lot of people can possibly use it more. You can use chat boxes, you can create your own filters even before the candidate applies, not only to the job, but to your agency. For example, if you create a chat box and Nanny can visit your job board, right? The chat box can pop up and you can ask some questions like, are you looking for a nanny position? Do you have 3+ years of experience? Do you have experience with infants? If they are answering the required questions and they get most of them right, you can then circle them into applying for not only the positions, but working for your for your agency. And if they're not qualified, they just won't be prompt to do so. You can then probably put a message in the chat box like, unfortunately, at this time, you are not qualified for the position or to work with our agency. Here's a list of things that you can do to boost your eligibility in a couple of months or a couple of years, giving them an idea of what type of agency you are, what you're looking for, and not wasting your time getting a large influx of candidates that are not they're not eligible or even qualified to work in the industry, let alone for the position that they're applying to. You'd be surprised at how many candidates will apply to a job with no experience because it was easy to apply to. And I'm not saying make it difficult, I'm just saying reject them earlier or let them know earlier that they're not qualified. And the thing about the chat boxes is that you can use ChatGPT to create a chat box. You can have them ChatGPT can easily program one for you. You can have your developer do it. It's so easy to do that you can chat will even give you steps on how to implement and deploy this. You can also ask your developer again. You can ask probably your applicant tracking system to do it. I know a lot of large companies like Bullhorn and iSIMS do it, and eventually it'll be something that's available for our industry, right? And I am excited about that. I can't wait. We are writing one up. I am writing one up and playing with it, and I hope to deploy it in the next couple of months. The other thing is video interview analysis. Some people may be able to use this. I think it's one of those things that will eventually be really popular in our industry, but I think this really goes towards agencies that have a high volume of candidates that apply to them, right? Because you can now have it where you can take nonverbal cues, facial expressions, and kind of analyze these patterns to see if this person may be compatible. I know it's strange, but there's a lot of studies behind speech patterns and facial expressions that can actually help you match candidates with the right job. And I can't wait to see how this really evolves in spaces like childcare. I would probably study family. I mean, I would probably do more case studies, at least for me, in places where human beings are very, very interactive. Like nannies work with children, but maybe like doctors, and see a lot of how that industry is using behavior analysis and nonverbal cues before I implemented something like this. But I think it's still cool. The other thing is like automating interview summaries, right? ChatGPT can take a transcript from Zoom and it can summarize the interview for you, making it easy for you to put into the candidate's profile or share with the families if you really want to share it with the families, or better yet, share with other recruiters and other people on your team. Now, bias mitigation, which we have spoke about a little bit. You're able to minimize biases in the recruitment process. However, trust that AI can do this. Trust that it can help you understand why a candidate may not be suitable, but you still need a human touch. So with explainable AI, at the end of the day, you want to be able to make sure that when you implement AI, there's always a human touch there. You may need fewer people to work on the everyday redundant tasks, but you still need an individual for oversight. So if you have it where a candidate is not matched, you want to take a moment to kind of understand like why they're not matched and make sure there's no issues in your processes, because discrimination could still occur if you did not set up your mitigation, if you did not set up your bias mitigation properly, right? And you don't want to do that. You don't want to now use AI to discriminate, because it really defeats the whole purpose, right? So there's always going to be a human oversight needed and required for accountability. Now, using AIs to focus on recruitment, right? And the four things I'm going to definitely talk about is automating pre-hiring assessments, right? A lot of us use phone screening. I have never liked phone screening, but I know it's something that's really, really popular in our industry. But I feel like we can replace that with AI, right? You can have pre-employment assessments that accurately assess the candidate's skills and traits through situational judgments, right? Some of us do this on Indeed really quickly, where Indeed will say, Are you CPR certified? Do you have experience working with infants? These things can happen using Indeed, but you kind of want to create it where it's not only Indeed that have these pre-assessments. There are a lot of amazing tools that can create applicant pre-assessments, right? And that can help you filter candidates really, really quickly. I know if you use Indeed, it's not really, you're already using it, but you're not using it on your website. You're not using it when they're emailing you. You definitely can use it by creating a chat box or using like a platform like eSkills to create the applicant pre-assessments, which is really, really good. And not only that, it gives you the opportunity to help identify candidates that have the best skills for the roles. You could provide a realistic sense of what the job is like, especially if it's tailored to each job. If you have a specific job and you have a pre-screen assessment for that job, you can eliminate candidates really quickly, but you can also make sure that the candidates understand that if they are applying for this role, are you okay taking care of 11 cats? Are you comfortable cooking for the family? Are you comfortable traveling? And you can eliminate a lot of candidates that way, only bringing in candidates that are truly interested in the job, because we live in a TLDR world. People don't read job descriptions in its entirety, and the pre-screen assessment would definitely help. I also think that we should use videos. A lot of us Zoom, right? We using a video interviewing tool is the next step to not only Zooming, but like pre-screening the candidates before they come in. So even before you do a live Zoom interview, I think the pre-screening would be a great way to make sure that you're getting the right type of candidate. Not only that, if you compare to how a lot of us submit resumes or resumes are submitted, we know that in order to be a really good nanny or newborn care specialist, there's skills that are required. However, a great resume doesn't really mean that it's a great candidate, right? We all know that past experiences is no indication of future performance, right? We just hope it is. So rather than only assessing someone based on what they've done previously or what their resume is, it's a huge factor, but it's not the only factor in moving forward with them. I think that we should use 1 to 2 minute videos. So you can ask the candidates a series of short predetermined interview questions. It's another form of pre-screening or pre-assessments. And the candidates can answer this up, and it gives you an opportunity, especially if you structure the interviews in a specific way, to not only make sure that you have a candidate that may be a great fit for the job, but you're reducing the bias because you're asking every single candidate the same questions, right? We use Spark Hire for this, which has been a lot of fun, but there's other platforms that you can use like Willow, VidRecruiter. I'm pretty sure this is probably something that our applicant tracking systems like Engine Hire, Nanny Logic Pro, Peer can create. And I think it would be great to have it because it's also something you could probably even show your client, right? You can have it where if the client isn't really sure about a candidate, they can look at these pre-asked questions and may consider a candidate based on their question or based on the answer to these questions, which I think is great. Another thing is automated interview schedules. A lot of us have it where our recruiters will sit there and schedule an interview with the candidate that comes in. I feel like once you've pre-screened and it gives you a really good idea that this candidate may be a good fit for working with your agency or working with a client that you're currently working with, you can move really, really quickly through the process of onboarding them, right? Getting them ready to be vetted and work with your families because ghosting is real. In this industry, we need to have it where candidates, especially a really good one, can easily become can easily become part of our applicant pool, right? Allowing the candidates to schedule their interviews right after pre-screening makes them feel like you're taking them seriously and they're really, really involved and engaged in the process, right? This leads to faster vetting for us so that they can be sent to the families as soon as possible. By speeding this up, you are ensuring that top candidates, because we all know really good candidates do not stay on the market very long, are in our system as soon as possible, right? And then we can have the best candidates to work with because these candidates are probably working with other agencies too, right? But you vetted them really quickly and you can send them to your clients as soon as possible. So I'm going to do a quick ChatGPT demonstration, right? Because we all know and have heard of its capabilities, and that's really, really important, right? We want to make sure that it's something that we can use and we can play with, and it's not something that's going to be daunting and stressful on the day-to-day basis. So I'm going to use ChatGPT to do a few things. I'm going to draft a job description for a nanny position that I've already pre-drafted. I am going to create pre-screening questions for the candidates to send videos, right? If I were using Spark Hire, what Spark Hire would do would prompt these questions for the candidates to answer, and then I can share it with my team. So, okay. I'm going to go to ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT 4, which is the paid version of ChatGPT. It is $20 a month. It is the best $20 you can spend. It allows you to do other things that I'm not going to be able to show you today, but I really want you guys to take the moment to play around with it. One of the things that is really good for is like web browsing. You can browse websites, you can use that for like SEO and other things. But for our example today, we are going to use ChatGPT 4 to upload resumes and also to draft this job description. So I'm going to take the job description that I created. It is about I need them to create a job description for Tiny Treasures Nanny Agency. We help families find childcare providers. You want to prompt ChatGPT. You can prompt it in different ways, but for this example, I wanted to keep it simple. I want ChatGPT to write a job description because we are looking for a Mandarin speaking nanny who went to culinary school, has a background in early childhood, plays the violin for a Monday through Friday schedule that starts at 9 and ends at 6 p.m. The childcare will be for a 4-week-year-old when it starts, and the candidate would be comfortable working with 4 puppies. I also wanted to create questions that we can use for video pre-screen of the applicants. So chat will sit here and listen to my prompt, and it will give me a job description. I always advise that you review the job description. You're not going to take just what chat says. You're most likely going to paraphrase this. You're most likely going to rewrite it and add more details. Every agency is different, but I wouldn't just grab what she says. But the great thing is that now you have a job description in honestly less than 5 minutes, right? So she's created a job description for me. She gave me that, some of the requirements are speaking Mandarin. The person needs to go to culinary school, needs to like 3 years with references, first aid and CPR. I didn't have to tell chat that, but she kind of knew that this individual would need first aid and CPR. It would need a background check. I am applying. And then it gave me some pre-screened video questions. So if I was using something like Spark Hire or even another system to capture videos, pre-screened videos, I would have it where these questions would pop up, the candidate would ask it, and I would be able to review this, right? Do I have the culinary skills so for example, how would you incorporate your culinary skills into meal planning for an infant? Do you have early childhood development? The questions are good, but you can always have her generate new ones, or you can write your own, or ask her to do more than 6. Sky's the limit. Well, chat's the limit. It depends on what she wants to do. And she even included like the application process, which I didn't ask her to do, but it was kind of nice that she's like, include a resume, cover letter, certification and references, and select the candidates will be contacted for pre-screening and video interview, which we love. And of course that we are an equal opportunity employer. So it already understood that we want to acknowledge that we do not discriminate based on any of the protected classes. So that's there, which is great. But now what I'm going to do is just that I have had people apply to this position, and now I'm going to upload their resumes for chat to review, right? So I have a candidate here named Jai, and I have another candidate named Lynn. These are not real candidates, but I want chat to review the resumes and see if any one of these 2 candidates would be a good fit for the job. So The great thing is just that what chat is going to do is read the documents. This can only happen in chat GPT 4. It cannot happen in 3.5, but she will review the documents. You can put several documents. I've never put more than 5 at a time just because I don't want to overwork the system. And she will sit there and write little summaries of each candidate. So we have Jai coming up, and we'll talk about her culinary skills, her language skills, education, same as Lynn. It'll go through this list, and it mention that, there's no mention of pets, so we don't know whether or not either candidates are interested in pets, but she will give her recommendation based on the summaries. While both candidates have strengths, neither fully meet all of the criteria for the nanny position. Jai's culinary skills and Jai has culinary skills and is fluent in Mandarin, but she lacks a background in early childhood education and violin, while the other one is the same way, which is so interesting because I have it where I have another resume where I had altered their description to include having these things. So she would have picked this up if I would have used the other resume. But the great thing is just that now I can eliminate both of these candidates in this example because none of them have all of the requirements, and they wouldn't be a really good fit for the job, right? So what I can do now is have it where chat can draft a rejection to both parties, right? Lynn and Jai. Oh, for the buffer. So I'm gonna send them both a small rejection letter, and it will be personalized so they understand that they don't have the qualifications, but we are still interested in using them as candidates, right? So we have 2 rejection emails for both candidates, which is beneficial because one of the things that we're finding out is that candidates are really, really unhappy with the fact that even when they apply to a job, they don't get responses. And finally, we're gonna have it where if I were selecting any one of these candidates, I'm going to have chat create a quick profile for her. And I'm going to add her location, right? So now I'm creating Jai's profile. She is the better one of the 2 candidates if I wanted to move forward with her. And I can share this with the candidates, right? It gives us her experience, her key skills, her professional summary, and she is in San Francisco and she's willing to relocate, right? So now we have something that we can share with our client if we choose to share it. Everyone has a different format. It's up to you if you want to use the format that chat gave you. But for us, we're just going to sit here and have it where I'm going to use this example to create a profile for my candidate. So those are the examples that I have. That was the tiny little demo I was going to do and give you guys. So that I can show you some of the things that chat can do. We're gonna go back now and I will show you guys a simple roadmap of some of the things you can do, right? The first thing you want to do is, if you're not using ChatGPT, start using ChatGPT. Introduce it to your team. You want to be able to train your team on how to use it. The great thing is that there's so many different videos, conversations, case studies around for chat that makes it easy for you to integrate it, right? You want to be able to conduct sessions to familiarize your team with using it and other AI softwares. You want to focus on how to interact with it and utilize it, understanding the prompts, understanding what it can do and its limits, right? One of the most important things, honestly, is learning how to prompt chat into giving you the information that you need. You want to be able to integrate it. I use it a lot for marketing. A lot of people do, but we want to also use it in the job posting and recruitment processes, right? Using ChatGPT to create really precise and appealing job descriptions, leveraging its language generating skills, because let's face it, some job descriptions can look redundant, and you can give her the opportunity to paraphrase, rephrase, make more dynamic. You can change the way your job descriptions look. And of course, you can include the things that are really important in order for candidates to really find the job appealing, right? We talked about candidate screening, implements in ChatGPT for drafting and managing communication. analyzing the resumes, cover letters, and identifying suitable candidates. And then you want feedback. You want to fine tune and test, right? You want to continuously improve the way you've integrated this program into your recruitment process, right? You collect feedback from your recruiters, the candidates, even the parents, if you're going to use it for the client side, and make sure that it makes sense for your agency. If it doesn't, don't use it. A lot of us right now, we should all be using some form of AI, but we definitely should be using our CRMs. If you're not using a CRM or an applicant tracking system, ATS, I suggest using one. There's enough individuals in our industry that provide these services more now than before, especially when I first started my agency. Again, Engine Hire, Nanny Logic Pro, Dipsado, iSims, to name a few. And a lot of them will eventually integrate some form of AI, and that will only increase over time. You can use ChatGPT to leverage social media, from the job postings to the IG postings. I believe that you should analyze your data quarterly. Some people can do it weekly, monthly. It really depends on you and your team, how big you are, how much you love numbers and spreadsheets. But this is something you can definitely utilize ChatGPT for. And of course, evaluate and maintain your system. You want to be able to regularly evaluate the impact that ChatGPT is making for your processes, right? And your recruitment outcomes. You want to explore other areas and make sure that it's not only working properly for you, it's not a waste of time, and it's not overwhelming. And this comes with making sure that, you're training yourself properly and you're learning as much as you can about it, which is important. And last, we need more case studies. I really believe in the power of AI and ChatGPT, and there are dozens of AI implementations and recruitment case studies in other areas, right? In other industries. We are the nanny household staffing industry, so we're so niche and small that there's not enough case studies. But I'm hoping that by you guys using this in this session, we can encourage more individuals and more companies to include AI systems, eventually leading to like positive and great case studies that will have it where we're not only able to match really amazing candidates with great families quickly, but we're also able to enhance candidate engagement in recruiting and reduce systemic biases that exist in recruiting. And I hope that, it will lead us into more profitable businesses, because now we have more time and we're spending less money on the things we don't need to, because AI can do it. So thank you guys for your time. I hope you enjoyed my talk. Thank you, Abner, for having me. Thank you. And of course, I had to put Christopher here because he didn't like that I didn't include him in the beginning. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm open for questions now.
All right, all right. I don't know about you, but I have been typing and taking notes furiously after that amazing session. I feel like we all gained so much information and so much knowledge. And in addition to that, I'm pretty sure we all have so many questions. And so now that Ms. Ruka is on screen with us, we're going to go ahead, if you're comfortable, and we're going to funnel these questions to you and see if we can get through as many of them as possible. So first question is, can you give an example of the criteria used for the style and tone and audience, the types of prompts that you use to make sure that the prompt you're giving is specific to the style and tone and the audience that you're giving it to?
I think one of the great things about chat is that she really does know how to, and I call her she, I'm sorry. She really does know how to like adjust herself to the tone of the user, right? And all of them are going to be different. So at least for us, we like to pre-prompt. And there's ways that you can pre-prompt her, especially if you're using chat 4, where you can just have a way where you want her to always engage with you. With us, I like to just prompt her with every single time that I'm using her. So it's a new prompt. I'll start off by saying like I always give her a role. Chat, you are a recruiter for a top nanny agency. Chat, you are a recruiter for an engineering firm. You have this much experience. Like I'm so you're setting the tone for her. And that depends on you as an individual and playing with it. And it's one of those things where I've done it so much that she sounds different every single time I do it.
I love that. When it comes to AI, is there anything that we should be aware of or that we shouldn't use AI for when it comes to our agencies? For me, it's obvious not to ask it for legal advice, but I'm curious to know if there's anything else that I should know about.
Oh, definitely the legal and the medical advice. My thing is just that you can have her, and there's nothing wrong with it. You can have her do something like, hey, chat, I need an exit letter for a nanny that is quitting a family. You, of course, you're prompting her to do all of this. But again, she's not a lawyer. So just double check with your lawyer, right? Make sure that whatever you ask her to do and how you play with her, you're not crossing the lines of anything that's illegal because she can't represent you in a court of law.
That part. So someone else asked, please give an example of looking through the data using AI. So I know you spoke about resume parsing. Are there any other applications where AI can look through data?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. Even something like, for example, downloading your a CSV from Engine Hire, right? You can download that and have her just sit there and say, like, give me based on the data, because all this stuff has already been included. Tell me how many Spanish speaking nannies have applied to our agency in the last 5 years. And that way you're like, oh my gosh, we don't recruit a lot of Spanish speaking nannies. You can even have it where because on an engine, you have the information of how many you've placed. You can do something like how many New York City families have we placed in the last X years? And all this is from your CSV and uploading it into chat. And she'll go through the data and run it.
I love that. I hope that answers your question, whoever asked that. Another one says, with saying a big issue is candidates feeling like the search isn't personalized, do you think AI can enhance this issue?
I think a lot of it with at least what I've seen, like just on like Facebook and moms groups and all this thing about nannies not feeling as even applicants, not even nannies, but it's just across the board. A lot of applicants feel like they'll apply to a job, no one gets back to them. No one even rejects them, which is like the worst case scenario. And it got me thinking because we're not very good. And when I was doing a lot of the research on this, we're not even very good at giving rejections to every single candidate. And it was one of those things after reading a bunch of case studies that we had to be better. So even now, my team knows that even if they have no experience, we're drafting something and we're letting them know. Because the nannies feel like the agencies don't care about this and we need them. We kind of need them more than the clients, right? At least in my part. I have lots of clients, but it's the nannies that are very, very difficult to sit there and recruit for. So you want to make them feel like, hey, I see you, I hear you. And now it's very hard for me because I'm that millennial that's like you can do things yourself. You can, it's okay if I don't say anything, but we're dealing with a very different group of individuals that want to be heard, they want to be seen, they want to know that they're important to your agency and you're helping them. And the best way to do this honestly is just having those pre-assessments, having the chat boxes, having different things that says like, hey, I see you, you're interested in our role. This is what you need to do next. And now you can do this. And like having them engaged and moving them so quickly that they're like, oh, wow, I'm moving. And we've been doing it so far and we're getting so much amazing feedback from our candidates. They're like, you responded so quickly. I didn't respond, but I'm not going to tell you that. And it's making them feel really, really, really good. And I think that's eventually going to, at least in my opinion, and what we're hoping, drive more candidates to us because they feel like they're being seen and they're being heard, and that applying to us is not a waste of time, meaning they're going to hear something, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you suggest a few tools for parsing resumes outside of Chat GPT?
Oh, there's okay, so one of the most popular ones, and Indeed has this, and I can list a couple also. I'm gonna write that down. Indeed has it where you can parse through their resumes and you can create booleans for their resumes, which makes it easier. The reason why chat is better is because it's kind of free, right? Like not free, but it's $20. Other programs and other AI companies, they could charge you like 20, 30, $40 a month to do this. And not only that, you don't want to parse too much because a lot of the information can be super overwhelming. And I feel like sometimes it's just better to use like the platforms like Indeed, like LinkedIn to parse those type of resumes because you can filter it a bit more. You don't want a bunch of data. You just want enough data that pertains to candidates in our industry.
Okay, thank you for that. Where are the places you look to find the best nanny industry data?
Where the places that I've looked to find them, gathering them honestly from other nannies, unfortunately, from other, like, you're looking at the mom groups, you're looking at the, because they hold a lot more data than you would think. You're looking at the Facebook groups, you're looking at even LinkedIn, you're using social media honestly to gather a lot of the data that's out there, which can be dangerous if people are given false information, which we know everyone thinks that their opinion is fact. But it's one of the places that we can get that information. We can only get it from those are that are available. I've learned that using this New York City moms group, that all their nannies are $20 to $25 an hour, which is very different in New York City. But all of the nannies that have been placed in this mom group run between 20 in the most expensive neighborhood in New York City. And that's because they're circulating thousands of nannies within their group. So these nannies aren't coming out of this bubble. Where if you look at the narrative in New York City, most of the nannies are $30 to $45 and they just don't meet. They're just not connected. So it's just really having a lot of this information available to share to other parties so that eventually I'm hoping that we can all meet in the middle and the nannies feel like, hey, I know how much I'm worth, and the families are like, I can pay that because it's not egregious.
Yes, I really love all the information. And I, again, just want to give you kudos for running through all of these questions so quickly. Girl, you have been on fire. Oh, there's one more. If there's time, I'd love to know, outside of recruiting, how would you suggest using AI to drive more client leads?
Oh, this is a fun question. I think it really it depends. Of course, we know it depends on those needs, right? But one of the things that I have done with AI is like giving clients like this is just me. There was a client that had sleep training issues, right? And I've given her some prompts using the Chat GPT. Of course, I confirmed and I used the data that was outside of Chat. But one of the great things is that Bing is the most up to date version of Chat GPT because Bing it's almost like Bard. They're all AIs within the search engines, but Bing is the best right now. I can't wait till Apple has their own. I'm just an Apple person, so I'm hoping that they do something better. Once you have like any, like if you have a client that has an issue or a problem, and I would ask chat like, hey, XYZZYX, right? And see what she's saying and then compare it with data that's actually out there. I always trust but verify, right? You just verify everything you get. And I sent a lot of families that. I've sent her a sleep training thing. I sent another client some foods for a baby. Like this is some of the stuff that you can do with baby-led weaning. That was kind of fun. I learned a lot. I even gave it to my sister because I was like, this is really, really good stuff. And most of people know that I had a tea company that I started last fall, and everything was chat. Everything, the copy, the prompt, down to making sure that the ingredient list was almost perfect. It was all chat GPT. She's amazing. I'm sorry. I love her. If she went away, I would be really sad.
Right? What platforms can be used for candidates to record like the 1 to 2 minute video that you spoke of
I
in the
like Spark Hire. I'm like, and we've been using Spark for a while now. So I mean, since for years. And what the great thing is just that depending on how many candidates you have, it's an amazing tool to simply filter people out because you can have it where like, do you have experience working with X? Do you have experience with, and they'll talk. And what you find is just that almost their answers are much better than their resume. And we have sent those instead to the clients because the clients, they get a chance to like hear these candidates in a way that you just don't feel on the resume. And I've had clients hire candidates they would not have otherwise hired because, oh my gosh, she sounds amazing. She sounds so lovely. And it's just a great, great tool. And of course you can use other tools, but Spark Hire has been the best that we've used.
Oh, I love this. Guys, we are wrapping up on our time. Ruka has done her job. Listen,
Oh, yeah,
she
I
has
hope so. I
given us
hope you
all
guys
the
agree.
information. She has went through rapid fire with all the questions. But if you still have questions burning in your heart and soul, then meet us back here at the end of the day for our last session of the day, where she will be present to answer more of your questions. Or if you think about it and try some things and come back and have some application questions. She'll be available to answer questions that you may have, along with the other speakers that we've had. Ruka, thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
Thank you to each and every one of you who showed up on this morning. We're excited to continue learning with our next session, and we'll see you in just a bit.
Ciao, Bella.
Bye.